Work-life balance. What is it? I think that's a really difficult topic and subject to even talk about. When I posted on my story, I had a ton of people that opened up and said, "Hey, man, this is what we want to talk about. We would love if you could go over this in your podcast." So I said, "All right." And my honest to God thoughts on this are: there's not a work-life balance. I think Simon Sinek said it the best. I hate that term, and so does he. And the phrase implies that your life and work are somehow these things that need to be in balance, and the reason, the only way for those to be in balance are if they are equal opposites of each other. And I don't believe that's the case. I feel as though your work-life balance is more of: when you're at work, you're at work. When you're in life, you're in life, right? If you're at home with your family, you're at home with your family. When you're busy during the day, you're working, you're focused on work. That also means you need to understand that if you need to take time away from your quote unquote family time, your balanced family time, to put time in at work because things need to happen, you need to stay late, whatever that might be, then that might have to happen sometimes. Likewise, if there's a family event, if there's some sort of something going on in your life that's important to you, whether that's a kid's football game, soccer game, dance, a family gathering, a dinner, a brunch you need to go to, then you need to understand that there's sometimes you might need to sacrifice a little bit of work to get there. And what I'm trying to say is that there's not a work-life balance. There's really not. I think the easiest way to describe it, or to give you a better perspective, is the ability to fluidly transition between life and work. That's where your balance is going to lie. I really don't think that there's an actual work-life balance. Now, take into account somebody that works a 9 to 5. It's a dead-end job. They're not going anywhere. They're just working to make an ends meet, or they're working to buy things that don't mean anything, or they're working to buy things to impress XYZ person that in the end of the day, they don't actually care what they're buying or what they're doing with it, right? That is, I think, where you need to understand where your priorities lie and what you're trying to accomplish in life. If your goal is to make sure that you have a really healthy family life, and that you have kids that love you and they know you care for them and you are going to be there for them, then that's a priority that you need to make. If you are more of the type that wants to have a successful career, climb the chain, be that corporate guy, be that manager woman, be the corporate woman, then that's what you need to understand where your priorities lie. And you're going to sacrifice one versus the other. There's just not a thing called work-life balance. There's really not. And if you think of people like Elon Musk, if you think of people like Alex Hormozy, if you think of people like just any of your big dogs in the industries out there that have built multi-billion-dollar companies, I doubt that they had a healthy work-life balance. But guess what they get to do now? They get to spend their time with their families, in their life, boating, on the yacht, traveling, vacationing. That's what they've chosen to do. They built in the beginning and they sacrificed in the beginning so that in the end, when they are or they have made it, they get to go spend their time elsewhere. So for me, for example, what I'm trying to do while my kid is still young and doesn't super remember all of these life events as she's going through her first year and her second year, I'm trying to work my ass off and make sure that I can provide options for me later. That means that I get to choose if I'm going to work. I get to choose if I'm going to stay home. I get to choose what my work life looks like. Do I want to go to work in the morning? Do I have to go to work in the morning? Do I have to go to these family events? Do I get to go to these family events? Do I get to choose to go to these family events? That's what I'm working towards. I'm working towards a life and a career in which I made myself. I stepped out of the 9 to 5 job. I stepped out of that climbing the corporate ladder. I stepped out of that realm because I knew that I could make it elsewhere, and I knew that I could be successful doing what I wanted to do in my life. Now, there's a really cool saying, and I might just butcher it, but it's something to do with the lines of, if you don't sacrifice, or if you sacrifice what you want now for what you want later, then you don't have to sacrifice what you want later for what you want now. Now, what that means is something like, if you don't want to sacrifice your 4-hour work week, if you haven't read the book, go read the book. But if you don't want to sacrifice that 4-hour work week, right, to build a company, to build a side hustle, to learn more about how to be a successful person in some aspect, then you're going to sacrifice those attributes and those skills later on because you didn't sacrifice the 4-hour work week that you have now. Likewise, it's the exact opposite too. If you sacrifice what you want later for what you want now, meaning if you do sacrifice that 4-hour work week and you decide to go play Xbox all night, if you decide to go hang out with your buddies at the bar all night, if you are out gambling all night, if you're out, even you could even be sitting at home on the couch watching TV with your family. If you don't want to sacrifice that now, you just need to understand that there's an equal and opposite reaction for something that you're going to want later. It's a trade-off. That's all it is. But going back to my original point, I don't think there's such thing as a work-life balance. I really don't. If there is, I haven't figured it out yet, but I really don't think that there's a work-life balance. And I think that anybody in this world who has this idea that there is a work-life balance, I think they are incredibly misconstrued in their thoughts on this idea. I think they really need to sit down and understand what it looks like to have a work-life balance and why there isn't a work-life balance. Also, I apologize if you can hear the dogs in the background. Apparently, they're snoring and they're super tired from a long day work. It's so rough to be a dog. But I really don't think that there's a work-life balance. And if someone's figured out there, please let me know. I'd love to know about it. But I have made the choice in my life to sacrifice some of the things that I want now so that I can have the things that I want later, to have the nice big home, to have help in the house, nannies, housekeepers, something like that. I'm sacrificing now so that I can have the nice pretty trucks later. I can have the nice pretty boats later. I'm sacrificing now so I have the option to stay home for a week on end and take my family anywhere I want to in the world. I'm sacrificing what I want now so that I have the ability to take off any day at any given time at any moment's notice for a soccer game, a dance class, a recital, a big school project, a big presentation at school, a speaking assignment I can go listen to my kids give. I mean, there's a lot of different things that I'm sacrificing now so that later in life, I don't have to sacrifice those things. The other thing that absolutely drives me more than anything, and there's a huge why to what I do, is I'm working for milk money. Jed Rawson, the guy that owns Piranha, or started and founded Piranha and still owns it, he taught me this concept a little while ago. And he asked me, he said, what are you working for right now? I said, I'm a little confused by the question. What do you mean, what I'm like working for now? He said, are you working for milk money or are you working for play money? Like what's your thing? And I was like, well, I think as of right now, I'm working for bills. Like I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to live a decent lifestyle, be able to go out to eat when I want, buy some of the things that I want. And he said, okay, well, do you have any kids? I said, yeah, I've got one little one. And he said, the moment that you understand that you're going to be working for milk money, your whole perspective on money and time will change. And so I've sat and I've thought and pondered on that a long time, trying to figure out what he exactly meant. And I came back to him. I said, Jed, I said, Jed, what do you really mean by milk money? And he said, Cade, what I mean by milk money is just that. I'm making sure that when my kids go to school, they have money for milk. It's that simple. They have money for the clothes, the shoes on their feet, the clothes on their back, the roof over their head. That's what I'm working for. I'm making sure that I don't have to go fish bicycle parts out of a dumpster and put them together so that my kid has a rinky dink bike to drive around or ride around, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If that is something that you have to do or that you are doing now, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do, however, believe that there are options out there and there are things you can do that that allow you to not have to do that, that allow you to go buy the brand new bike at the store. And I don't know. I mean, I think back to my childhood, and I had a dad who was in construction his whole life and still is to this day. He's getting older, and it's hard on him, and he's slow now. He's hard on walking and hiking, and even hunting is difficult for him. And then I have this dad who's been a sales rep commission guy his whole entire life. There's definitely been some ups and downs on both sides, specifically in the commission side, right? You don't know when that next paycheck is. But what I did see from him is the work that he put in, the sacrifice and the time that he's put in has allowed him to live a really beautiful life right now. Does he have all the yachts in the world? No. Does he travel everywhere he wants in the world right now? No. But he's comfortable. They have a beautiful home. They have beautiful vehicles. Um, they have the finance and the capability to help their kids out if needed. There's a lot of things that I think are incredible with living the lifestyle of sacrificing a little bit now for a lot of it later. Okay. And the last thing I think I want to touch on, just lost my train of thought for it. It'll come back to me. Um, maybe it won't come back to me. Man, I cannot remember it. It kills me because it was something really good I wanted to share. But I think a really healthy exercise that you could do to try and help you figure out what you do want in life is to sit down and with your spouse, with your significant other, or if you're single, just sit down with yourself and take time, shut all the music off, shut all the TVs off, put your phone on silent, and just think about the things that you really, really want in life. When all is said and done and someone is sitting there writing your obituary out, what are they going to write about you? What are the things that are going to be remembered? I remember exactly what I was going to say now. Okay. I don't remember where I heard this principle, but it's really powerful. I eventually want to be to the point where I have enough finances and I have saved enough that I have a very specific, a very separate bank account from all the other accounts that I have that is strictly just a giving fund. And this giving fund is going to be strictly for somebody that has some sort of medical issue that comes up in my family, my close friends. Maybe I can get to the point where I have the finances that I can help a lot of people out, which would be awesome. That's the goal. But specifically this one, I really want to make sure that I have a really big chunk of change set up, $500,000, 250 grand, more than that if possible. But I want to have that set aside. So when I have a family member, a close friend, something of that nature that I end up hearing that has cancer, that needs a liver transplant, a kidney transplant, something in that nature, I want to be that person that can anonymously go to that hospital or go to somewhere and be able to donate that money to them without a blink of an eye. That's something that drives me a lot as well. I think that would be incredible, and specifically to make it anonymous. And it's kind of counterintuitive as I'm talking to you about it now, saying I want it to be anonymous, but I do want it to be anonymous. And I'm only saying it now because I think it's just something important to bring up in the podcast. But later, no one's going to know. They'll never know it's me. And that's the whole point of it. That's the goal of it. But again, there's not a work-life balance, guys. You just have to understand what you want in life and what you're willing to sacrifice and draw the boundaries on what you're willing to sacrifice or not in both your work and your home life, and to fluidly transition between home and work life, because you guys have to remember these things work in tandem. Alex Hormozy's wife said it perfectly. She said, if you lost your job today, would it directly affect your home life? Probably. If you put on 50 pounds today, would it directly affect your work life? Would it make work a little harder to do? These things and these two examples are just really tiny principles to understand that, yeah, both of these are going to affect each other in some way or another. They're not going to be equal opposites or not polar opposites, because that implies that there's going to be some sort of balance in between, a give and a take. And I don't believe that's the case. I really do believe that there's not a work life balance, and there's just something that you need to figure out what your boundaries are, and to help both of those be a cohesive, um, frictionless topic and frictionless thing in your life that you understand how to work with. And that's my 2 cents on it. Take it as you will, as a grain of salt. Believe it, hate it. I don't really care. But you guys asked, so that's my commentary on it. So, as always, I love you guys, and I appreciate the support and everything you guys do. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Share it. I really do appreciate it. And any feedback is always welcome. I'm here to get better and to grow as a person, and I can't necessarily do that unless I get some sort of feedback. So, again, I appreciate everything from you guys. I love you guys, and I really hope everything's going well in life. And please, if you have my number, or if you are friends with me on Instagram or Facebook, feel free to please comment, reach out, and ask if you guys need anything. Just reach out to me. That doesn't mean I'm just necessarily going to hand over anything that you need, but I'll do my best to help out the best that I can. So, without further ado, guys, love you, and we'll see you next time.